top. Mhm. Those right. Oh, sure. The live program is very early, so um, that's perfect. About uh, equality. Okay, I mean, now also. So let's invite others so they can join us. We have a whole lot to talk about today. We have about 2 hours. I have specific topics to talk about today. For our say. So please share for other people to join us. Mr. Yali with Frank, thank you. And God bless you. First, I must warn you, warn you people to understand that I try very hard not to get involved in the pettiness of politics, but sometimes I'm being caught in the crossfire. When so, any me avoid. Uh-huh. But either way, I've learned over the time, over the years, that politics will go and come, but we being Benin people will always remain. So I'm an apostle of peace and unity. I'm an apostle of it. So please signify if the network is good. Okay, for yeah, well, okay. Okay. Even the one, do man, where my balare, Okay. I will. A real live video. Ah. Oh, Biama. No, sir. Our coalition friends, good mobile. So, but then now, when now with live video office here, so when my mobile is over office. Okay, the network is okay. Maybe I'm. Maybe I'm. When uh oh, Sash, my work, I know that. So, oh, I are here. Ah, no, we have to console our brother. When party already lose, we have to console. Whether APC or PDP, we are all the same. Or team so we must maintain that peace and unity amongst us. So, sorry, I'm a bit distracted. Like I said, today we have to talk to ourselves as one people, not as politically being inclined. Some of our people are very emotional, too very emotional in this matter of politics, and I don't know why. Some became so emotional to the extent that I know there was a man. I used to look up to him like a father, but I think he's too petty. His name is Gianni. You never even near do in the first place. The man looks so petty. I see him in some comments in some other people's posts where he directly or indirectly. I want him to be here if it's here. If any of you know him, you can tag him so that I can join this live video. He used to be a very good follower of mine. But it's just that the Bonoba Sekin Lonia or Bungwe. Fiyania. So that Nebo no Loniani, no make na Nipu make na papa. So if it's not here, his name is a new walk with beer. So Biametia, Bioko Giuliani Diani. My two we going on, no. But it seems whenever he speaks, he's always very partial. He's always very, very partial. You know, why I don't, and there's another person I would need to talk to today. His name is, he likes people addressing him as a PhD holder. So I'm not going to address him as any PhD holder because we man him, but it's just that I didn't want to, I've seen all of his posts, but it's just that I respect people's opinion. He respect my opinion too. His name is Mr. Paul or Dr. Paul Igbeneweka. So I will have to also address his matter today so that he will not say that I'll be keeping a blind eye to him. I usually do not call people's name because I feel he's an elder who is not acting well. I do a no one or have a one. They do time. So it's everywhere now. You can purchase it anywhere. After the live video, we'll talk about it. But share the live video so that I know I originally wrote 7 p.m., but I now had to shift it back to 5 p.m. The reason why I had to shift it back to 5 p.m. is because on a issue need later. So now I cannot do that issue. I had one background. So man shall not live by bread alone. So today's message is very, very, very important. So I want you to share so that other people can join us. So let's talk about some very, very important things. So I'm not saying I'm a very perfect person. So people always do not get me wrong. but I am less opinionated about a matter. So what it means is I do not force my opinion on people. That is why if you make a post, no matter how annoying the post it is to me, I will not connect. What is the basis of this man's idea? All right. And I will just, but I, Igbo woman, do it talk about my yegbe. Now, so anyway, the network is good. A whole lot of persons complained about my network the other time. So I'm going to be addressing quite a lot of issues. Amongst the issues is about uh, the unity of the Edo people. All right. Right, the unity of the Edo people, which is very paramount at this very point in our time. Whether you are partisan, funny enough, a lot of people do not know I'm not partisan. Funny enough, a lot of people do not know that I did not even vote in this past gubernatorial election. So I did not vote, and I'll tell you the reasons. Much later, I'll explain why I did not vote. So, but however, one thing was very clear. I wasn't going to vote for, even if I had voted, I wasn't going to vote for any person that is related to Obaseki. And I've said in the opposite time, I like to make my clarification very clearly. Clarification very clearly. I like to be very clear on issues. All right. I like to be very clear on some specific issues. One of those matters is this. I don't think majority of the Benin people or Edo people hated Aswen Irodalo. I don't think any majority of the Edo people hated Aswen Irodalo. I have to repeat. If anybody is telling you that anybody hates him, I don't think, because Itan of Edo or Mama Wemi Yong I tell Madam. We didn't hate him. I don't think we will ever hate him. All right. The concept of whether he was or he is a good product is left for God and our ancestors to know, because he has never been a governor before. So we wouldn't know whether it would have been a good governor or a bad governor. Fair enough, he has been very successful in his choice of business. All right. It seems like he has a managerial potential. It has a good managerial potential. You can't take that from him. He's a good manager of business, and that's how he's been able to grow. I particularly know his office, Bao and Igodalo office. I think there was a time we went for an art exhibition. I saw the building. It's one of the tallest buildings in Lekki. I think it was Lekki we went to the other time. So I don't particularly think he's a bad person, because I also would not be of the school of thought that he would have been the best governor, because he hasn't been a governor before. But I also wouldn't be a school of thought that he would have been, whether it would have been a bad governor or a good governor. Time would have been able to tell, because when you're not giving the bastion of leadership, that is when people can really tell if you are good or not. But proficiency of one's communication should not be mistaken for one's ability to strive for development. There are people who are blessed with ability to communicate, while there are some people who are not blessed with ability to communicate. So English might be the lingua franca of Nigerians, but it is not a prerequisite for state or economic development. A lot of persons, I've seen a whole lot of professors back then in my university, University of Ile-Ife, or Bafemi Awolowo University. There were basically a whole lot of professors who could not really speak English. They barely could speak English without missing it with Yoruba. But when some of them were first class products, and some of them can be able, they really know they really know the subject matter, but because of the proficiency of their language, of how they be able to communicate in the English language, they are not able to communicate properly. But that does not mean they don't know the subject matter or the course in view. So it is ignorance for people to believe that those, for the fact that I can speak English now, it does not mean that it's not a guarantee that I can be a good governor tomorrow, or I can be a good manager of a company tomorrow. There are a lot of people who speak English. They are professors of English. They are professors of literature. But if you give them to manage any institution or manage any company, they will run it aground. Why there are some illiterates in the street of Aba, in the street of Onitsha, in the street of Upper Sakmumba, or in the street of Ogida. But if you give them a company to run, they'll be able to run them successfully. So I don't want the basics of we analyzing some of these things should not be based on how proficient someone is by mere expression of a language that is not even ours, a colonial language. So whether Ashwin would have been a good governor or Modern Pueblo would be a good governor or would have been a good governor, I don't know. It is not based on Noze Bose who can speak English. People should understand that. There are other parameters that I think people would have used to analyze these two persons, but it is not boiled down to English. No, like I said, Uyi Josiah, like I said, Uyi Josiah, you can only assume based on the parameters that you had. Like I said, a good manager of a company can be a bad governor of a state. It shows respect tradition, possibly. All right. Let's if we analyze all the critical characteristics of this man based on what we can see, we can assume that he could have been a good governor. But he had one clause. He had a bad man. Not totally bad. One of today's topic, I can show you that I wrote on the good and the bad side of Obaseki. A lot of persons will want to disagree with me that that man was not good at all. That no, that's not true. There were some good part of him that I also want to analyze. But the concept is this: no matter how good you are in terms of your knowledge about the economy, your knowledge about you be able to fix things, you still would need a content of character. You need compassion. Every leader needs compassion in his ideas to propel or to lead the people. That was one part he never really had. Asa Meyunu China is a very wicked man, proving whatever he did in terms of striving for human capacity development in Edo State, he ruined it with his wickedness. And I will analyze all of that much later. Coming back to Ashwin, like I said, with all the parameters that we have on ground, it's possible that he would have been a good governor. But the point is that he had a bad marketer. And we were scared because when they were also bringing him to us in 2016, when they were bringing him to us in 2016, they also gave an assurance that he would be a respecter of the tradition. In short, in the first few months that he spent, a lot of protocols were broken. Don't forget, after he became a governor in 2016, in less than 3 months after Obaiwai was coronated, Obaiwai went to visit him in the government house. So there were a mutual understanding and mutual respect between the state government and the traditional institution. Edo State was developing at a high pace because the government, the policies of the government were in tandem, or the policies of the traditional institution, which is headed by the Oba of Benin, was in tandem with the policies of the state government. So everything was going smoothly. Don't also forget when the industrial park, Nomarimo Unoro, was launched. I think then Osimbasho came to Benin. And Oba of Benin was also there on several occasions because there were no bad bloods, there were no disagreements, and everything was working. Both institutions were working pari passu. They were working together as understanding that there is a need for the development. One of the key factors that was driving Obaseki in terms of constructing Gelegele Seaport was the palace of the Oba of Benin. In short, it was originally the idea of the palace of the Oba of Benin. Don't forget, that has been an economic idea of the Edo people as far back as 600 years ago. The Gelegele Seaport idea has always been part of the idea of the monarch over 600 years ago, because that was where the trading system was established. There was a city that was built within the region of Ugoton. A lot of people do not know this. Okay. But let me also bust your bubble. Where you call New Benin, inside Benin City, was not originally called New Benin. The New Benin that was regarded as the New Benin was at Ugoton, because it became the commercial hub of the then Benin Empire. So they created a kind of a commercial, like a free trade zone. A free trade zone, like a commercial zone within the interland part of the Gelegele waterfront, which is the Ugoton, and they named it New Benin. Eva Dona Dweki, with all European counterparts. And a city was created, and it was called New Benin City. And New Benin, Mission Road, the original New Benin was at Ugoton. So Ugoton, the Gelegele Seaport, has always been a commercial hub of the Edo people. So it was not a conceptualized idea from Obaseki's government. It has always been an idea of the Edo people through their monarch right from time inception. And that is what I can guarantee all of you. And that is what is invoked. So when Obaseki came, he had a robust meeting with His Royal Majesty on looking for how do we actually bring economic viability and development to the Edo people. And one way is seaport. The monarch invested quite a lot of money in it, just like the state government invested quite a lot in it. You know, there are some certain things that so that there can be common development that can give jobs. So we can have so that we can have an industry, a trading industry that creates job and employment for the Edo people. Because the two institutions were working together. Then along the line, greed cropped in. When greed cropped in, some of us started to fight. Why were we fighting? One of the alarms that I raised at that time, if you people remember, was that the Benin elite were not talking. The Benin elite were not talking. It is because of the absence. The audio is not good. I'm shouting here. Clarify if the audio is not good. The Benin elite were not talking. It is because of the absence and the failure. In short, Aswan Igodalo should not even be greeting any Benin elite or any Benin elite. Aswan Igodalo should not have problem with his Oduwa or any of us. Yes. Or breaker. But it's not breaking. So the Aswan Igodalo should be having issues with all these Benin elites. They are a bunch of failures. So I'm sorry. Very straightforward. I'm not saying anyone like him, man. They are the failures. Because at the time when this matter started cropping up, if you people remember, I was saying that why are the Benin elites not talking? The Benin elite could have put sense into Obaseki, and the matter wouldn't have escalated. What we're talking about, we're trying to make Obaseki an enmity because they were eating anything. They were eating something from Obaseki. They could not call him and advise him and guide him. That this is not a matter of politics. This is not a matter of politics. This is a matter of our traditional institution, a legacy that is bequeathed to us by God Almighty and our ancestors. We cannot destroy it on the frivolities of politics. He was supposed to be called. Everybody is saying is breaking. The network in man. Oh, wow. What is going on? Let's observe. Let's observe. It's breaking. But it's a breaking. But why is my own network not breaking? And him, but other people are saying on my end is perfectly fine. So let's observe. Please share this video. Drop and come back. Now when you drop, you need to come back. So let's see, observe instead of me going out. Okay. Audio is bad. Audio is bad. Audio is bad. Audio is bad. I just said increase 14. So what do we do now? But a passage fine. But I been talk of what I been to wire where go I mean, they say their network is fine. So when we go marriage, a network you wrote up. You understand? Well, let's observe. Let's observe so that we'll come, because it's going to be very interesting. So that people will know that we need we wanted to teach him a very hard lesson. And they are telling us that the hard lesson that ourselves, we are teaching ourselves the hard lesson. No, we are not teaching ourselves the hard lesson. So that now water, you should like me. So that you understand? I swear to God, I swear to God Almighty and my ancestors, if Monday tries 10% of what God doing did, in my bound, no, I'm not a coward. I don't worship anybody. People should understand why we needed to send a statement out was that no one get down. No, understand? So no one get down. So what we were saying specifically is people should understand. That's when they didn't do us anything. We have nothing against him. I can do that. So how can we now hate someone who did not do us anything? We didn't hate him. And they are talking about, and I heard, I've been reading a lot of posts that we had to betray our own and be following Oshomole. That is the most useless word or statement I've ever heard in my life from a Benin man who, in spite, he saw what Obaseki was doing to our traditional institution. They all kept mute. Oshomole might down on you. The other time they were saying that he was lying. Yes, he was lying. And Omo gave it to him woto woto. We are going to address that matter much later. Benins, we don't worship anybody. I don't worship any of them. I don't know them in person and they don't know me in person. If any of them misbehave, woto woto. I don't worship any of them. Like I've said constantly, before now, since 2016 till now, I've never been to any politician's house that a politician had one more, and I live very, very fine. So it is not about them. It is about nobody should blackmail anybody. When this whole matter started, we were crying that a matter, and I'll give you an example. When the matter at Varsity Community now at Partisan, when the matter of Ulego happened, if you people will remember, me, Imotia, and Comrade Osaze Digin, we went to see the Iyase when the whole matter was hot. We went to see the Iyase that how do we calm this problem? The Iyase is an old man. Iyase wasn't even aware. That was the day I met a Sogman. That was the first time I ever met a Sogman in person. It was in the house of the Iyase. And when I met, anybody can come with Osaze Digin. When we met, it was me and him that went there. It was on Sunday morning. So we went to report, this is what is going on. How do we create peace on this matter? And the Iyase said that I should leave the matter to him, that and the Sogman will sit on the matter. And that was the day Sogman told me, the latest Sogman told me that if you remember, I think I've said this story a couple of times. And that was how peace came to the matter, because I, as a Benima, understand that when things are going awry, we should be able to call ourselves together and quench it. If there were issues between the governor and His Royal Majesty, it was supposed to be the elite that was supposed to say, let's find a way to talk to Obaseki to come back to his senses. I was screaming on top of my lungs for years. Most especially Mr. Paul Pineweka, Officer. I have to tell him my mind today. I used to respect him, but I only respect people who stand for the truth. He's a man that has never seen anything that Obaseki has done as wrong. That kind of a man, in spite of everything Obaseki did with my own, he has never seen anything wrong about what Obaseki has done. He has never. Let him show. If anybody can show me any test, any post he made where he criticized Obaseki, or should I start listing all the atrocities of Obaseki against us as Benin people? He didn't see anything wrong. None of them did. None of them will be able to caution him and tell him, who died on Emma. But now they lost. They are crying. Why would they cry? Now they make the innocent as well to suffer the pain that they caused because of their unhealthy love for someone who is wicked, like Obaseki. Now, love for him. If they had advised him at that time, if they had cautioned him, not yet candidate that since our son, the governor, is choosing this guy, and it is Esa's turn to rule, do you think that Oshomole's candidate would have won? You push your people aside. You neglected your people. You despise your people, except for the few ones they paid 90,000. You despise what they hold dear to their heart the most. You have utter disrespect for it. You don't respect that institution. Then you think at the end of the day, we'll clap for you. Then you think at the end of the day, we'll start clapping for you that you have done well. And this, we should not start be taking Panadol for cancer, because this is not a matter of headache. We have to go down to the roots of the matter. It has to go down to the root of the matter. That because Obaseki said Yamagago, politician here, where team Obaseki there, one hour is what Obaseki not home, manari home. But you know, I think I will also the fifth topic today is our diaspora people. Then it won't your talk. Because our diaspora people actually look at some of us here in Nigeria as hungry people. Look at what they are saying. I saw so many of their posts on social media just now saying that since I go vote for APC, I come back me for money. So do these people think the richest Nigerians are based in Nigeria? The richest Nigerians, they are domiciled in Nigeria. And you people should understand that some of us are not beggars. In short, a toilet work you say 150 years, some of us are not beggars. So you shouldn't be looking down on us and say that for what you say over there is what we should be doing, as if we are your puppets. Either way, it's supposed to be us telling you, because we are the one who is here. You cannot tell me I should not have a stake in the matter, in the political matter of Edo State. Whereas when I'm a taxpayer, I pay tax to the state government, I pay tax to the federal government. So I have more stakes. I have more than 15 employees. I have more than 30 direct or indirect employees working for me that I pay salary at the end of every month. And you think you have more stake in the affairs of Edo State more than me? That I will not be listening to you on political matter, what concerns the survivability of my business or not. These are issues that I think that our diaspora people are so puffed up with pride of, because they say that they earn in 5,000, 10,000 euro. That then we should go and die. Come on. Please, our diaspora brothers or sisters should show us some respect. I am appealing. They should show us some respect. They should show us some respect. So, what I am saying in all of this, please, is that the problem that affected us with Wodalo must be traced back to Obaseki. And while we are blaming him, we should also blame the Benin elite. Because when all of these matters were growing, none of them had the right. You can show me any publication that the Benin elite, if any of them came together and wrote an article, or they invited Godwin or invited Godwin and all of that, they are now resolve a matter. None of them ever did. All this polygamy can never suggested it for one day. They never suggested it to him. They never talked to him. They never advised him. They never guided him. And now they are saying that we should do what they are saying. I am not saying everybody in diaspora, saying some of our brothers could have been all of you. The way there for 1 week. They feel that in come to Mission Road, Ade Mission Road, Ade Forestry. So some people make 10 million in trade in Benin every day. Some can make a sale of almost 30, 40 million a day and make almost a profit of 5 to 10 million a day on the streets of Benin here. So if you are thinking that we are hungry people here, I'm not talking to all of you people. I just wanted, because of the way they sound, they just sound, say, more than they go, hunger will kill you now. Hunger will kill you now. Okay, I got back to kill So let's go beyond partisan politics. It is not about that. It is not about APC or PDP. Let nobody get this thing wrong. It is not about APC or PDP. That was not the issue. People should understand it has nothing to do with those two political parties. It has everything to do with our common identity as Benin people, which Obaseki was desecrating every day. And nobody, even some persons that I respect, that I used to call mentors, who had Obaseki's ear, or who could have one-on-one. Yeah, I can Obaseki Jamie over here, Tawa. You're not taking that time. No wonder. Let's say Sockman said, "Get ready." What they were supposed to tell him, none of them told him. None of them were able to call him that will call. Why can't we do it this way, do it this way? Let's come to a compromise. After having to meet with you, we also go and see His Royal Majesty and also see how we can also relate with him and see how we can bring peace. None of them. If there is, let them show proof that they made moves. None of them. None of them. In short, they were even telling the people that there is no problem between the Obaseki and the palace, that we are the one who is trying to flare it up. They said there was no problem. Most of them. Some of them are still saying it now, that there's no problem. That we are the one who's trying to flare it up. Will not be mumuna. Okay, wamalake Monday lude wawe gwaze bo. Boy bo mebezena na so I not be mumu. I be gwaze bo. We're not foolish. We saw the letters that was written and signed by Mani Atemu, the deputy governor. All we are doing here. If Obaseki was wicked, Osadio should be super wicked, because a letter ni na we agbeni in we assign as a Benin man. Don't you have respect for the very essence of your existence? Can't you look at the face of the governor and tell him that I cannot sign this? This is about our heritage. You know, one of my videos, I said something. Even if the governor do not like the current Oba of Benin, was it enough for him to destroy the kingdom? And our elders, this and their Paul, we're not saying that the creating of a traditional councils was for speedy development. You see how irrational that some of them think. You see why you should not take these people for serious. I don't even think that man was even getting anything from Obaseki. I don't think he has access to him. Government has, maybe. Because all of these people have now become so self-centered and selfish that they don't think about anything except themselves. That's the most greedy Benin man living. Again, last week I heard in our some letter. It was published on Vanguard that the election should not be rigged. I was shocked that this election should not be rigged. Whereas when issues were coming up at that time between the royal institution and the governmental institution, they all kept mute. Maybe because they were benefiting from it. I think so. You saw maybe we should investigate this matter. Maybe they were the one giving mind to him that nothing happened. Where so that none make a contract in here. You know, Zame's son was the question. Sorry, it's like the network went off. Who do not mean us well? Instead of Naya Gualo and I ask your full we that were not even supposed to be talking on this matter as young lads, we were not the one, we were not the only lone voices in the wilderness. When we have people who we were supposed to be looking up to, that were supposed to look at this matter critically, find ways to settle. Instead, they were now accusing us that we are heating up the entire polity, that we're the one causing the problem, the commotion. What we simply did was just to take side, a side that we know is clear and clean of our conscience, because already there were already two sides drafted. Anybody could have taken any side, but we choose to take a side, understanding that that is our common shared heritage. Obaseki will come and go, but Oba Benin remains. And that decision that we took is not a decision born out of selfishness. We're about the only people fighting for this cause without under salary. Maybe you people should understand this. We fought because we believe in our institution. We believe that we cannot sacrifice our institution for PDP or APC. We believe that we cannot sacrifice our institution on the altar of partisan politics. That's what we believed, and we chose right. So let nobody blackmail anybody for making a decision of choosing his heritage. One thing, if they call all Benin man now, what are you proud of? Will any Benin man now stand up that I'm proud of PDP? The party that was not even formed by Benin people. Will anybody now come that I'm proud of APC? Since PDP rule, where do I mean? APC rule, where do I mean? What has been our benefit? Have we produced a president, or have we produced a vice president? Or have we produced a Senate president? I think the highest we have ever produced is chief whip. Chief whip, you know. Chief whip. Highest, so my producers. Chief whip. Then we are not fighting ourselves because of Obaseki now. In 3-4 months, you will see them in our Shomole, in our one function with transport computing or a co-hotel. In our amoni who you no nisi aye nyeke. You understand? Yeah, amoni sa. You no nisi aye nyeke when whiskey of 1.5 million. Whereas you now was supposed to have our back as Benin people. Our people should think. A webo, according to Akabama, a webo nor now when I ask money. At give him my own ni boya wine. Ni it's on our one. To an extent that a Benin man or a woman, because it feels that a boy in Nigeria, or they who marry Nigeria, if we were married, a Jewo in where they are not finding a way to bring down our royal institution in order to up Godwin Obaseki, who will leave November 12th and probably will never visit Benin City again. And I cannot, every single body that I've had problems with has always been because of the palace of the Oba of Benin, not because of any politician. Not because of any politician. What can a politician? How can a reasonable Benin man choose Obaseki, Godwin Obaseki, more than his own heritage? It's appalling. I want us to see them and look at it. And I've also said, it is not in my place for EFCC to cash him. No fear for Ogava. If if they say that he's the best governor in the history of Edo State, no problem. So if his records are clean, I don't think he should be afraid of EFCC. But if his records are not clean, at the end of holding a public office, you should be held accountable. So EFCC will have to invite him. If it comes out clean, good for him. If it doesn't come out clean, good for him. But what I are fighting for is that why should we be quarreling amongst ourselves because of him? Is there any person now? No, meba tie bobamba na that. Obaseki madriwomu. Is there any person now? Over do no meba like them. My barrier road, when all day anywhere. Ya could play flight ticket or when all day. My word do tie bob that he can vouch that it got do not pass again madriwomu. A thief is a thief. It doesn't matter the magnitude of stealing. Oh yeah, all these politicians, all of them. So but because that is my heritage. I have no other thing that enshrines the very essence of my life. On your part. And that is why I'm so proud of it. So what I am talking about today is that I have always said it in all of my teachings that how can any man come to me and say that all the things that have gone wrong since the inception, since Obaseki started fighting the palace, that we all kept a blind spot to it. So my heartfelt pain goes to Aswen Godalo. To be candid, he was deceived by a very bad person. And we have reliable information how many years it took Godwin to beg Aswen Godalo, to beg him to accept. If the information that Aswen Godalo now found out after he accepted, if he had knew right from the beginning, I'm sure he would not have accepted that Greek gift. I wish if no shomole or betting Luma Lumano. Oh yeah, and I'm a dear. Well, you tell you to told you that way Guavedario. Mona correct it. So I did it. I did it. I did it. You know, why so I know. Hey, my friend, money for now. People like that. Sorry, there's a music playing. Huh? Get shot on. Oh, we have a mosquito. Awala. Exactly. Otalobe. Reducing it. Otalobe. So I'm there. But anyway, it is not in my place to say the type of harmony or guamune. I have no inclination to work. But if it was in my place, I'm not quick. I am more coca here. Why you talking here? You why you man be what tell here? So that's about it. So please, we must not compromise our unity as a people because of that man. We cannot compromise our unity as a people because of that man. Yes, I might have offended some people rightly because if you just I might have. That's because they came to my own comment section and start blabbing. So if you do not agree with what I have said, it's my opinion. Just like I disagree with a lot of the things that you have said. So it doesn't mean that because I disagree with what you have said or I agree with what you have said, that makes me an enemy. We shouldn't be enemies about it. But when you now see the great injustice being meted on your traditional institution, you kept mute. And you now perceive a pinch of salt is not being meted on your so-called God. No, those are the avenue. You start crying. Then I begin to think, where do say na hina? I get a katamima that if you're with Wotedu, no, you be any do. If I don't think a full-blooded Benin man would want to choose Obaseki against his traditional heritage. Let's assume. Let's assume. I always say this all the time. Let's assume that, okay, you don't like Oba's style of governance, but why can't you protect the throne? Why can't we protect the throne? My own is that the throne at all times must be protected, whether we like it or not. All these people, you know. Now the question you should ask yourself on the matter of Obaseki. Now Obaseki will leave the government by November 12th. Do you think that Obaseki can come to Benin and win his unity? Do you think? I want you people to go and sit down and answer that question that when Obaseki leaves the government, do you think he can come back to Benin and be able to have a say amongst the Benin? Why? Why do you think, in spite of when Oshomole lost his power, when he left the government house, he still would be able, Esako till date still love him because only say wa Obaseki mani say wa. Obaseki would have gathered the Benins and unite us. Yes, you can criticize Tony Kabaka for all that you can, but anyway, you Boniaye. All those people needed was to be guided. In every society, you have different types of people. You have the intellectuals, you have the non-intellectuals, you have the gra-gra. As a leader, you bring everybody together for the purpose of growth of your land. Otherwise, if he had united the Tony Kabaka did no more less, you can strip those over incessant powers that they have, which the Benins were complaining of. and teach them on how to earn more decently. They will start to earn more decently. You have their loyalty. Do you think if he was able to do that, if he was able to remote the set of their kabakas and the rest and shaping them properly in a way that they will no longer be harassing also their people or the people of the city, do you think that Oshomole has power to leave his own a sack of land and have overbearing influence? Because the fact that we, the Beninese that are located here, the Warutedu, Mamaye school, illiterate, Mamaye Nosunu, some of us have not been able to, my soul, Mamaye fear or Egbera, were not exposed. So the set of Beninese he was working with were the ones that were in Abuja and Lagos. Those set of Beninese that have basically nothing to offer. Those set of Beninese were at the least any 5 people near a member canvas no voting here. No voting Obaseki. Obaseki could not unite his people. Omani united man, the madame. Omani united man, madam. Okay, Omani united man. If there were little disunity, instead, he was finding on how to break us into. He succeeded because I was even hearing some people. Send addressing Meredo you understand? They do my boy. Why are they because right now you cannot be talking down on people. Nobody say we do it. Almost if you go one donor. On that tries with one donor. Mazebe do it, man. If it's not otherwise, most of the things you people are doing here, it would have been if you're no one. So what else suppose many manage if you don't need care. Why I send the salary give my every month? Then my man like Libya. Abu where me Nike na large Libya. So no nah. No, since they're not threatening me. Past 6 years. They know my house now, they know my papa, they know everything about me. Huh? So instead of it, he could not unite his people. Instead of him to even leave us the way we are. Divide him up. First of all, we want to recruit Arisco. The genesis of the matter. I recruit Arisco in a way that he started funding the Ogiame people. Who do you, why do you people think that Moki face? No, he doesn't get tired because he's being paid. Who do you think funded him? When Moki face came to Nigeria, it is government that it is Edo State government that provided him with logistics. So here I am when I'm a king. We get to an ICT expert to bring that all his call logs. And the nobody say, oh, you know, sir. What you know, ne pastor, that wicked bastard. You know what they're going to Africa, not there do. November 12, Makoe. Moki Face was in constant conversation all throughout the weeks he spent in Benin with government officials. Enabled. Papa second Wakobona. He got told in Yama, Nagbongema, we had the call logs. After we collected all the call logs, we started to use Truecaller to dial all the numbers. We started to use Truecaller to dial all the numbers. And we started seeing most of the people he was contacting. We're all in government house at Osadebe Avenue. That's the person that has been insulting us till now. Ogirona there. a transformer. Abi o ma say the transformer. Ogaga mu. Okori no time. Ogaga so transformer na table na do aga to election. With that colors. So you know, number was one of the most frequently died number. The Moki face wa contact already. Yeah. Okay. The suspended Nogi of Ogwa, that Ovi Oboni, or what we actually. Okay, Prince of Benin with Facebook was contacting all of those persons. We have the call up. So when we are talking, we are not talking because we wanted to get sympathy. Sympathy for what? We saw what this man did to us because I didn't get the artifact. Why? Because you were not allowed to take what does not belong to you. You want to care about the kingdom, and you think that the Benin should be coward enough to not say that we needed to teach him a lesson. That any single person that attempts to humiliate or insult the palace of the Oba, we are waiting for that person during election. Say anything you want to say, whether it's Oba is a palace is PDP or APC or Labour Party or boom, we are waiting because you think you have that power. How does it feel now? How does it feel now? You thought you were going to live forever. I like Botin. Nobody can be in power forever. These were the things that we were talking about. If our people had cautioned him, this some of these diaspora people, some I have very good diaspora. Almost all my friends are diaspora now. What's up? Some, no, because of some of them, they now use that mentality to generalize that all the Benin families. Their family have a door. People should understand that. I'm the last born of my mother. I work very hard for my money. Again, in my this one as well. 2020 ni, oh, kill the day. It might one misbehave. Yeah, one win the 2020 on Murinia. He didn't show his true color at that time. I at home we're hearing fillers. We're hearing fillers. No. 2 years. I use it 2 years. It be my guy. It be my guy. So, and you think we'll not be happy about that? Ashwin Godalo was just a victim of a terrible circumstances. If he had had someone who had sat him down and told him of all this, he would have not have accepted to be a governor. I swear. Well, even the guy, he confessed in one of his popular dissing that he felt maybe it was just a slight problem. After he has entered, he now discovered that it was in a deep shit. In your task there, shit. The guy near loud or deep is the deep the current state of the shit near why you. So we need to teach him a lesson. And our people are saying that we are foolish because we needed to make a statement that on no account should any Edo man, whether Benin, Esan, Esako, or one attempt to insult our royal institution. Otherwise, a deep boyonge or gary and a deep boyonge sending on our show or you leave. 2 weeks ago, at time or you leave. You should why. I've told our people to concentrate now on how we can unite. How we can now begin to see ourselves as brothers once again. Now can I begin to find a way of uniting ourselves. We're not begging anybody to unite with us. Let it be very clear. But thank God, Osanu doesn't even need cow. That we cannot longer be fighting ourselves. We have enemies all around us. The issues of Godwin Obaseki should no longer be our priority anymore. We have played our own part. We should leave the rest for God and our ancestor to finalize. So we should start talking about how we need to unite. We should start talking about what we need to do to unite our people and unite our land. And we should start understanding that the royal institution is our safe haven. It's our safe haven. It's our safe haven. We must do everything to take our royal institution off politics. We should do everything to take our royal institution off the mat of the people. Let's ensure that we no longer discuss our royal institution on any political matters. I think that is another point. We should stop discussing the palace of the Oba Benin on any political matters. Please. Like a very good example is that after the victory of APC, our people started posting video of Oba dancing. That was very wrong. When Mamegian Ipum, they started saying that Oba was dancing for APC's victory. Oba Rima, Obeduru will be dancing with APC win. That's an insult. But please, we should learn to reduce on how we affiliate or we try to connect politics to the palace. That was what we tried to tell them at the beginning. That if we don't resolve this matter now, politicians are going to now enter inside and now politicize the entire process. The entire process was not politics, has no inclination towards politics. But like I said, politics is a dirty game. When APC saw that they had basically nothing to campaign with, so they started to campaign with what was applicable, which is Obaseki Egwahon. And that's a statement of fact. But if that matter was resolved way before now, APC would not have had anything to campaign with. And thereby, the chances of Aswin Godalo, no forces on earth would have been able to ring Aswin Godalo Act. I'm not saying as Monday was ringed in, court, but all I know, 2 political parties attempted to ring that election because if bribery, paying 10,000, paying 15,000 from both, none of them can come out that Yama payable to electorate. None of them can come out that they didn't attempt to bring foreigners into the land to boost their vote. None of them can say all of that. In short, no give or win. Those they were both ringers. The best ringer actually won. Yeah, but ring. No ring is win. So am I making an election that they free and fair in Nigeria then? There's no election that has always been free and fair. One person will make an attempt to ring and ring. Only that it might not have been successful enough to scale that person through because the other one ran more or ring more. So nobody should tell anybody that area ringo, area maringo, yeah, barring. And there's another matter. I don't know why he didn't. Understand one thing. Why Ashwin Godalo might not have visited the palace might not be entirely his fault. Don't forget, he has a bad man supporting him. I am sure he has no choice. He cannot be fighting Obaseki. He cannot be fighting Obaseki at the twin light of election, just 2 or 3 days to election. So what Obaseki told him, oh yeah, no need to go. If Obaseki had told him to even go and see the Ooni of Ife, he would have gone. Hoping that if he wins, he will start to correct. I'm thinking out loud. Maybe the guy was hoping that if he wins, he will start to correct all the wrongdoings of Obaseki. He didn't know that Onine Yuwane. So we don't need politicians, like my brother is suggesting, to even come close to the palace anymore. None of them actually mean well. Oh. I was saying that, okay, let me give you a very good example. It doesn't matter. Again, in the Christian Naifare, the peak, my cross tomorrow to APC and be starting sorting the God will not pass. That's how shameless they are. Don't forget there was a time that Adaze Mata was lambasting. It was the most vociferous, Obaseki's government. Why do say money? Why feel new Gagwana? That is why when Adaze Mata left Obaseki, the first thing he ever posted was Oba Atokpe. You see how useless they are. You see how useless. You see how Inalobo has made some of our people to act abnormal. So anybody now who is probably supporting, who is with the palace, who is thinking Adaze Mata is a good person, you don't know anything. Adaze Mata will do a 360 turn against the palace if offered money. Because I see no reason why anybody as a Benin man give no go can go why that one when you are finished as an Edo man. You wouldn't even know how desperate the man was. And not any time women here. You won't understand. And any time there was already a template that Obaseki gave him to follow. So he was just following it, not knowing that Obaseki was just misleading. Yeah, I agree with Osege. No, the Benin Transpond, we are hitting it by next week. The Benin Investors Conference is coming up. Benin Trust Fund is coming up. And it's for us, Benin people. We know they do show. Now, workings now we want to do. We want to show our doings. All the preliminary stage has been drafted. You can go and check it out. Benin Trust Fund website is almost ready. I paid over 3 million to set up Benin Trust Fund website. I paid about 700,000 to set up Benin Investors Conference website. You can go and check BIC, www.bic.ng. It's already up and running. And I will let you know. So we are hitting the ground running. It's going to be the biggest investor summit in the history of the Benin people. I'm trying, my brother, I'm trying to give him the benefit of doubt. Edo, itendo melele, itendo edefwa, on mama will be on my white or madam. We cannot say he's a bad person. He didn't grow here. He didn't know anything here. In one of the first interviews he did about the artifact, he said the ones that need to go to the palace will go to the palace. The ones that need to go to the government will go to the, because that was what Obaseki told him. When he now eventually probably go to do research, he did another interview he said that all artifact belongs to the palace. The first interview he did on the artifact matter, he was following what his boss told him. I wouldn't say Obaseki is his boss. Obaseki is not his boss. See, the truth is that Obaseki had no intention of